we're getting close. Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Karras, and I'm delighted to be serving as your worship associate today. On behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome you to this morning's hybrid service. Whether you're joining us virtually or here in the sanctuary. For visual accessibility, I'm wearing the colors green and teal. I have short brown hair, and I do use reading glasses. I invite you to settle in. I encourage you to take a deep breath. Arrive. Whatever culture you call home, whatever race or ethnicity is your own, no matter whom you love, and wherever you find yourself on your faith journey, you are welcome here. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We hold that as we work in community for a world with peace, liberty, and justice for all. If you're new to First Unitarian, I invite you to check out our website at firstuuwilm.org to learn more about us and to sign up for our email newsletter. If you're joining us online and you're interested in learning more about our congregation's ongoing activities, please use the link in our chat, which provides a brief form enabling you to sign up for our email newsletter. This morning, our theme is our dreams for America. This is quite timely, as tomorrow is the national holiday to celebrate the American civil rights leader, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr. We will honor his legacy. His dreams inspired many. And tomorrow is the presidential inauguration. This morning, Reverend Larry, along with speakers from our congregation, will spark our curiosity, contemplation, and energy. I'm looking forward to it. In addition, we will be warmed with art, hearing beauty provided by our choir and our musical director, Kathy Harris, as well as pianist Linda Henderson. And we'll be viewing art created by our members. Arrive. Now, please take a moment to greet those who may be joining us online. If you turn this way and wave to the camera on your left. And then here together, if you will, just join each other. Go ahead and greet each other here in the congregation. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Piers, minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, and I'm just wanting to admire those who broke through whatever inhibitions they might have had about running through snowflakes. I want to acknowledge those who are joining us now online with a warm, hot mug of hot chocolate in your hands. And I want to acknowledge the warmth that we create when we come together. The prelude that Linda Henderson played this morning is worth acknowledging. Julia Perry was an African-American woman composer, and the song in many ways perhaps expresses some of her own experience and her own soul. And it's wonderful to receive the gift from her over time to this day. So our call to worship this morning. In his words to the Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly in 1966, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I must say to you this evening, my friends, there are some things in our nation and in our world to which I'm proud to be maladjusted. And I call upon you to be maladjusted, and all people of goodwill to be maladjusted to these things until the good society is realized. I never intend to adjust myself to segregation and discrimination. I never intend to become adjusted to religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few and leave millions of people perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of prosperity." My friends, the words of prophetic women and men are one of the sources of our living tradition as Unitarian Universalists. We draw inspiration and courage from those words, and in our gathering this morning, let's open our heart, let's open our collective soul to courage and to inspiration for the journey ahead of us. Let's join now in worship.
For those of you at home, I invite you to join us in lighting a chalice as I read these words adapted by Reverend Scott Taylor. We gather as we listen deeply to each other's difficult stories with tenderness and trust. We descend into the longings and learnings, hopes and fears of the humanity we share. As we weave together our individual tales into a common story, our loneliness lessens, and the ever-present web of our oneness is revealed. Please rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 1018, Come and Go With Me. Thank you for staying standing. And now, please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Today's meditation will be primarily a visual meditation featuring the art of some of the adults in our congregation and some of our children who are asked to express their dream for America. So we'll have an opportunity to appreciate those images. But before we look at those, let's all just take a moment and recognize the question, where do our dreams come from? Where do our dreams come from? May we sense that inner well within us, that inner well among us that can inspire and evoke in us a dream of what could be over and against what is. May we feel that tension between where we are and the aspirations of where we want to be. So our dreams for America. The first slide, please. Bev Bach. My dream is that all people, especially women and children, will have safe and affordable housing and equal opportunity for education. And we can have there be a little more pause after each statement, okay? So we can appreciate the visual as well. Adris Harrell, My dream is for our country to be inclusive, fair, and just to everyone. Linda Sanders. My dream for America is this dove of peace sends compassion, understanding, and peace through our country. Linda Sanders. My dream for America is that all cultures come together to spread love and healing to the earth. Lisa Malik. My dream for America is that education will be allowed to flourish uncensored and with new life. The oak tree represents education. It is meant to be distinguished, stately, and dignified, but lately the tree has weathered some storms. It is being fed with a new root system of quotes from often banned books. 1984, Harry Potter, Anne Frank, Fahrenheit 451, The Giver. With this new life, there is a young spring. Look closely and you can see tiny buds, a nesting bird, bunnies, and a few leaves. After noticing the details, the foreboding tree seems less ghastly, something to be preserved. Lynn Ingersoll. In my dream, I see America as a vast olive grove, rooted in rich soil, nourished by sun, rain, and clean air. Overarching branches defy limits, sharing fruit abundant and peace transcendent. Pam Weiss. My dream for America is unity and inclusion. Even though others may treat people as heretics, rebels, or enemies, we all can reach out and respond with love. Mickey Meyer. I dream that love will prevail over hate and violence. Nancy Pinson. My dream is that we would come together to put our country back together again. The people in the drawing are purple, depicting red and blue merging. And now we turn to deeper sources of wisdom, the art of our children. Some of these don't have a statement to go with them, just the art itself, so we'll appreciate what's being expressed here. First, my dream for the United States is that it becomes a place where everyone has enough to eat, all the necessities of life, a safe community, equality, and prosperity. Next one. My dream for the United States is that it becomes the happiest place on earth. My dream for the United States is that we work as one to save our earth from climate change, forget capitalism, war, and the rich, treat women better, ensure everyone has their basic needs and rights met. We learn from our past and grow so we can build a better tomorrow with equality, peace, and care. We embrace our differences and weirdness. My dream for the United States is that we take care of our earth. Next one. My dream for the United States is that we provide clean water for everyone. Next. My dream for the United States is that people stop littering, people don't hurt trees, and that Rojava is in charge of the world. My dream for the United States is no conflicts and no money necessary for purchasing things. So, having been nourished by those images and by those aspirations of a dream for a land and a people and a place and the common good that we all share, let's take a moment now and pay attention to what are the images that you would include in your dream, your dreams for America. Let's pause during this shared silence to capture those dreams and to receive those images. May we be open to and nourished by our imaginations. May we be fed by what stirs within us and among us to bring about what could be, what should be, what ought to be. Amen. So every week we do take time to articulate in each other's presence those particular concerns that we might be holding in our own hearts about ourselves, about those we love, or about our wider world. So let's take a moment. You may even put your hand on your heart if you care to do so, and pay attention to what it is that you are holding in your heart as a concern this morning. Anyone else in this section like to speak a concern?
Sudan.
We continue to support Ukraine's fight for freedom.
Our first
In this section.
trans people. It's time of transition.
In this section.
Democracy.
Suzanne and Alan.
Women's reproductive health.
And in this section, what concerns would you like to express this morning?
What activities the incoming administration will bring to pass.
Partners are key.
And if you're joining us online, please add your concerns in the chat. Is there a joy somewhere that wants to be expressed in this room, in this company as well, even in the midst of the concerns that we hold that can weigh us down, sometimes even alongside those without any rationale or reason. A joy can still be there. What are some joys that you might have? We'll start here.
My friends.
Yeah, he came in, yes.
After the service, I'm going to go walk in the snow in Ashland.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Joyce?
Beautiful snow.
Beautiful snow.
Today's art.
Today's art, yeah.
That we will have people that will run toward the fire while we have to flee.
Yes.
Eagles are going to fly.
Yeah, we have a lot of, for those online, you might notice, but might not know this, but we have some devotees of the Eagles in our midst today. Very devoted people. Any other joys? Yeah.
Child's 2-year-old birthday.
Oh.
2-year-old child's birthday.
2-year-old child's birthday.
Singing real loud.
Yes, People's March. Yes. Okay, fabulous. We've got some wonderful music today as well to express both joy and concern. And so we gather together as a community, and we're connected as a community as we weave together our joys and our sorrows and find ways to show compassion and be the presence of compassion in our world. May all whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day. So please join in singing our musical meditation. The words will be on the screen. I feel a sermon coming on this morning. But sometimes when I say that, people kind of sit back and buckle their seatbelts. But today, you'll hear three voices, me, Susan, and Gianni, who will be joining us on video. That's why I'm pointing to the screen. So I'll start us off. Our focus, as you know, is our dreams for America. In his poem, Harlem, Langston Hughes provokes us with these words. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sword and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? Our dreams. Our dreams are worthy of our attention. Tending our dreams is essential if we are to step into the fullness of our human vocation, engage in our responsibility towards the societies that we create, and embody our spirituality as a sacred kinship with all that is. Our dreams are worthy of our attention. On this weekend of all weekends, when we honor the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., and when we inaugurate a new administration in our nation's capital, surrounded by a lot of first day of offices, promises, or threats, however you want to receive them, they tend to provoke in us, distract us, or overwhelm us. But our dreams are worthy of our deepest attention and of our careful tending. In my opinion, dreams are not a luxury, they are a necessity. Did you say that again, Reverend? Okay. Dreams are not a luxury, they are a necessity. I can say this with every fiber of my being. Who would any one of us be if it were not for the dreams that fashioned us from the inside out? We don't all know the intricacies of each other's stories. We could easily tend to think in templates or stereotypes and generalities. We could easily tend to look on the surface and not listen long enough when another's heart is breaking or their subdued cries of the Spirit are hardly heard. But I know this for certain, that in spite of what we may only see on the surface, that beyond our assumptions, there are those dreams within us and among us that, though tampered down at times, still have the power to propel us forward no matter what the conditions are around us. Aren't there times in our lives when our dreams have saved us more than reason alone? Aren't there times in our lives that our dreams have saved us from our brokenheartedness and our despair? I believe that our dreams are like a grappling hook that have carried us through and beyond what oftentimes can seem impossible or impassable. How many of us would even be sitting here today, I ask, if there wasn't some dream that lured or cajoled us at some point of our life to show up again and again at a house of hope? When logic would have steered us in any other direction or towards some other distraction. Yet it is so easy, convenient, and comfortable at times to defer our dreams. Whether it's the dream for our own lives or the dream for our country, yet the question remains and resounds and ricochets within these walls. What happens to a dream deferred? What happens to a dream deferred? What happens to a dream deferred? Let's abide in that question with each other just for a moment. What happens to a dream deferred? I know that for me, if I keep putting aside my dreams, that after a while I'll stop even dreaming or risk dreaming. But if I can tend those dreams like embers within me, I have the courage and the boldness, the resilience, the faith, and the hope to dream once more. You perhaps have heard the story that the very speech that many of us associate with Martin Luther King Jr., his "I Have a Dream" speech, was almost a dream deferred. King was the last to speak on that day of that gathering on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. on August 28, 1963. There were 250,000 people gathered for this march on Washington for jobs and freedom. King had just prompted Mahalia Jackson to sing the spiritual, "I've been buked and I've been scorned." And then Jackson intervened at one point in King's speech when she felt he needed a course correction. Remembering a theme of a speech that she had heard just a few months before in Detroit, she cried out, "Tell them about your dream, Martin." And at that point, King put aside his prepared notes and began with these familiar words. And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I want to read that sentence once more, and I want us to receive it in such a way as if we were receiving it in this moment, not 1963, and see where it lands for you now. Ready? And so, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I believe that we are in a moment when we too may be called to make a course correction. We are, some say, in a midnight hour. It seems that our country is coming apart at the seams. It seems that what we once relied upon, I'll just name a few: integrity, moral character, expertise, the rule of law, seem to be succumbing to indifference, insouciance, and impunity. Don't ask me to say that again. These are not merely political issues, my friends, but these are moral ones. These are not just moral issues, they are also deeply spiritual ones. Who needs a dream now? It seems that we are splitting into and polarized beyond repair in this country. Who needs a dream now? It seems that the fears of some have been turned by unscrupulous leaders into rage against all who look different, talk different, live differently. Who needs a dream now? I think it is a prophetic coincidence that the title of Martin Luther King's final book was, "Where do we go from here? Chaos or community?" For in 2025, the choice couldn't be clearer: chaos or community. We need to be astute to the choice before us, since chaos has become a skillful tactic in our midst, a manipulative, skillful tactic in our midst. As Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III states so astutely in his book, Dancing in the Darkness, Spiritual Lessons for Thriving in Turbulent Times, he writes, "Chaos breeds cynicism and despair. It pushes us towards withdrawal and inaction. And for this reason, those who perpetuate injustice often choose chaos as their weapon. When we see a peaceful gathering is confronted with weapons of war, and we have seen that recently, that's a footnote. We know the powers that be have lost the moral argument. Their only remaining tactic for advancing their agenda of injustice is to enforce silence. They conjure the demon chaos, trying to use its power, Moss writes, to provoke the other side to despair and to give up their struggle. And I would add, to give up their dream. Who needs a dream now? We do. Who needs a dream now? We need to cultivate our dreams for our lives, our dreams for our neighbors' lives, even those we do not know, and our dreams for America, to counteract this prevalent tactic of chaos that threatens again to breed in us cynicism and despair rather than engagement and hope, that tempt us to give in and to give up, rather than to find the personal, moral, and spiritual fortitude to dare to overcome what limits rather than expands a love that includes justice. Who needs a dream now? That is why I'm turning to us this morning with the same directive that Mahalia Jackson gave to Martin Luther King Jr. on that day in August. She said, "Tell them about your dream, Martin." So I say, tell me about your dream. And let's start by saying, tell me about your dream, Susan. I'm just going to get my... Oops, to move them.
There we are. Good morning. I am both nervous and honored to have been invited to share some thoughts with you about my dream in this celebration of Martin Luther King Day and also the state of our country following the recent election. I've thought about why I might have been asked to stand up here today. I think maybe it has to do with my level of involvement in this previous election. So I started to think about how this beloved community, us, worked to use the tools of democracy, frequently asking, "What can I do?" We wrote over 12,000 postcards across the state. We held phone banks, and many in the larger Wilmington community crossed over into Pennsylvania to knock doors. The UUA just recognized us as a good trouble congregation, which I feel incredibly proud of, and I think you should too. I applaud all of you for your determined efforts, and it's been simply amazing. But talking about the tools of democracy at this moment seems irrelevant. We have bigger issues at hand. We need to rebuild our democracy and our country. But we are left with the same question. What can we do? If you could show the slide. There we go. Martin Luther King Jr. addressed this in a speech almost 70 years ago in Montgomery, Alabama. Life's most persistent, urgent question is, what are you doing for others? He spoke those words 6 years before I was born, yet he speaks to me quite urgently and clearly today. What am I doing for others? Who do I have the capacity to help? That's what I want to reflect on today. And I'll tell you up front that for me, it's all about generating hope. It's easy to see our upcoming president's plan for making America great again. He lays it right out there. Huge swaths of Americans are deemed unworthy of respect and dignity by him and his backers. Things are shifting so quickly in our society with this continued tide of hate that parts of this reflection I wrote in outrage just a week ago now feel like they're a little ho-hum. For example, Meta, which includes Facebook, announced just last week that it's making sweeping policy changes to how it moderates its content. Its so-called hate content policy. Now it's okay to refer to women as household objects, and trans and non-binary people referred to as it. Each day we are battered over and over again with new outrage to keep us perpetually on our back foot, holding our arms across our ears to stop the constant barrage to our sense and sensibilities. So many of us are locked in a perpetual cycle of rage, fear, and denial that it's quite easy to give up all hope. The best, it seems, might be to hunker down, turn off the news, have that second glass of wine, or maybe a second martini, and wait until the storm passes. Sorry about that. But I think there's something more to do than that. In our Centering Sundays program that Judy Gavados and I have been hosting, the most important topic we talked about is hope. We started with studying some of the teachings from Joanna Macy, a Buddhist scholar, in her book, Active Hope. From this, we learned practices she describes as the Great Turning, where we turn our hearts and actions toward healing. We followed the scientific research of Dr. Jamil Zaki, a Stanford University professor who has researched the role of cynicism in our culture today. He unpacks how it is sometimes easier to feel cynical about events in our lives and the world. It's so easy to see the other people in our country as a bunch of greedy bigots. We ask ourselves over and over, how can 50% of this country seemingly not hold the values that we do? It's so easy to let cynicism deny us hope, leave us in fear, anger, and despair. But Dr. Zaki, through his research, has demonstrated that how much harm this can do to our relationships with others and even harm our own health. He proposes the concept of hopeful skepticism, the notion that instead of succumbing to cynicism, we view each interaction with others with clear eyes, not be Pollyanna about it, but also not to assume we know the intentions of others. Wait for their behavior to show us who they really are. As our nephew says, after years of serious hardship, you may know my name, but not my story. There are a lot of scholars out there sharing wisdom about hope, and I've read and listened to a lot of them in the last 6 to 8 months. But I think the most profound statement regarding hope came from my friend Dale, sitting right over here where she always sits. And this is what she said, having hope doesn't mean what you're hoping for is going to happen, but it means it could happen. I think Dale's take on hope is exactly right. Her interpretation has a call to action implicit within it. What we long for, peace, justice, and civility, could become reality if we do something. I want to tell you an experience my mom had the other day in the grocery store. The only thing she was purchasing was some nice store-made soup for her dinner. She was at the register and reaches into her wallet and is horrified when she only finds a few wrinkled up ones, not enough to pay for the soup. She was mortified and embarrassed for not having the money. The woman behind her in line quickly said to the checker, "Just bring her soup in with my groceries. It's no big deal." My mother tried to give the woman her few wrinkled dollars. Then she tried to get the woman to give her her address so she could send her some money. She wouldn't have any of it. The lady just smiled and said, "Enjoy your soup." This simple act of kindness did two things. It touched my mother's heart deeply, and the lady behind her in line had a warm feeling having done something nice for that day. This ordinary interaction is where hope lives for me. Simply looking for ways you can make life a little easier for those around you. Generating hope out of small kindnesses. We all have the capacity to find ways to do for others, as MLK beseeches us to. Some of us have financial resources we can share with those doing the in-the-trenches work, helping the disenfranchised in the coming months and years. I want to take just a moment and share with you an experience that my husband Kevin and I had in the last few weeks, but it takes a little bit of background, so bear with me. In our immediate grief following the election, we made a pledge to one another that our number one priority for coming 2025 was going to be anything within our power we could do to help support trans kids who were so victimized during the election cycle. Then, crazily, we had a guest minister here in this pulpit, Reverend Laura Randall from Boston, who was here to speak about the UU Service Committee's mission to assist in refugee efforts. I thought I knew pretty much what UUSC did, and I settled down to be updated. But then she started talking, not about foreign refugees, but domestic refugees. Families with trans children on the move across this country. They are fleeing the horrible laws going into effect to ban gender-affirming care for transgender and gender non-conforming minors. 24 states have now put these laws into effect, which functionally strips parents of the basic decision, making the basic healthcare decisions for their own children. These laws are spitefully closing gender-neutral bathrooms in schools, ones that previously existed. These laws are, in some cases, charging parents of child abuse for providing gender-affirming health care. Pink Haven, the organization working closely with the UU Service Committee, estimates that between 500,000 and 1.2 million families will be on the move this year and in the subsequent years as the laws tighten. Pink Haven is recruiting families who have the space, time, and money to take in these refugee families to help the children get the care they need. Listening to this in our pulpit made me feel like it was more than just a simple coincidence. My husband and I have a trans son. We know what he's suffered and also the suffering of his friends. Our son is now a healthy, happy 26-year-old living in Brooklyn. He had many advantages growing up. The families that Pink Haven is targeting also have wanted desperately to help their children and only have had the bad luck of living in the wrong state. One thing led to another quickly, and quite suddenly we agreed to host a family in our home. 3 days after Christmas, the family arrived at our home in Smyrna. When they learned of our willingness to take them in, they drove straight across from Nebraska to Delaware, arriving exhausted, but so very grateful for the safe haven. There was a single mom and 2 non-gender conforming children, one 12 and one 15, and 4 very large dogs. These last few weeks, we've learned so much about how to be gracious in sharing our home, and I'm filled with such a swelling heart as I saw the mom relax and the children settle in and begin to trust us. The family has now moved on to the next stop in their journey, sadly. They needed a place that was better equipped to deal with 4 dogs. Kevin, my husband, and I will reflect on how this experience went for us so we can do better with the next family and the next. Because there are going to be more. Obviously, not everyone can do this. We are in a unique position to have what it takes to make this successful for these families. But the hope it gave me, the strength that the mother showed her children, fills me to brimming. So my takeaway from all of this is this: help someone at the grocery store. Maybe roll down your window when you drive by the homeless that gather on our street corners. Give them a sandwich, gift card, or cash. Look around you and find the repeated little things you can do. You will come away from those experiences with hope in your heart and a realization that we can all do something for others, and that is the path to rebuilding our country. So let's go do it. Thank you.
Are we good? Are we on? John, are we on? We're good to go? You can hear me? Okay, good. Thanks everybody for taking time. My name is Gianni Maiorano. I've been a member at First Unitarian Church of Wilmington for a couple of years and been coming here and grew up in the congregation since I was a baby. And Larry had asked me to join today to discuss how to prompt folks to share their dreams for America. And in my experience, one of the best ways to get something from somebody and prompt something from somebody is to give them something first. So I thought it might be a good idea to start a new policy called Give a Dream, Get a Dream, and share your dream with somebody, and you're likely going to be getting a dream in return. So I thought I'd share some of my dreams for America here, and hopefully in response you can share some of yours. And if all goes well, this could be a dream. These dreams are in no particular order, and one of the ones I wanted to share right away is that schools and educational systems are valued, where kids can fill their minds and their bellies with what is needed for intellectual, emotional, and physical enrichment, and that's something that our society truly values within our school systems. I have a dream that we have a society raise its floors as well as its ceilings, because who wants to be at the very top when it's just a long way down to the bottom? My thoughts on this are pretty clear. Many are worried about this person getting a handout, that person getting a handout, and I'm not paying for this person, and I had to walk uphill both ways in the snow, and my dad taught me that if I hate myself at my desk for 60 hours a week for 40 years, that I'll be somebody. That's my money that I earned. Everybody needs a handout sometimes, whether they deserve it or not. Do you really want to live somewhere where people are just dying and suffering in the streets? Not my dream. I have a dream that kids can safely go to school, and the only gun they have to worry about is one that maybe starts a track meet. Even the metal bands are writing songs about this. Check out the lyrics for the song Reality Bath. Just read the lyrics, you won't like the music. Even The Onion posts an article every time there's a shooting saying, "We don't know how to stop the shootings, says only country in the world with this problem." I have a dream that the only thing politicians care about is representing its people, not its stock portfolios, not its business investments, and not getting elected for 4 more years for monetary gain. I have a dream that if you're in need of medical attention, you can get it. Some have referred to me as a socialist for this and other beliefs, and I forgot that sharing and bringing other people up is a bad thing. I have a dream that people learn what socialism is. I have a dream that companies don't have to make the most money. Isn't just some of the money fine? Like, do you have to have all of it? I have a dream that people can learn what capitalism was supposed to be and what unchecked capitalism is now. I have a dream that people can live their lives as they want without hurting anyone or for fear of reprisal. I mean, if someone wants to go ahead and be a Dallas Cowboys fan, that's fine. I may think it's the dumbest thing on earth, but hey, this is America, and I need to cheer against somebody, but I will support your right to do so. I have a dream that getting a college degree is a meaningful decision and not a gate to keep people out, put people in debt, and further line the pockets of those trying to use education as a money-making vehicle, rather than a resource that should be freely shared, accelerated, and celebrated. I have a dream that I can buy food and not worry about what is left in my wallet or what is in my food to begin with. I can't even say some of these ingredients. Butylated hydroxyniazole, propylparaben. Final answer. I have a dream that mindless scrolling, 5-star, like and subscribe, and who I can make go viral today can be tamped down a bit. People remember to look out a window. One of the things I wondered is what we never talked about is if so many people want to go viral and being famous, wouldn't settling down, being at peace with yourself, be the cure for viral behavior? Speaking of viral, I have a dream that I can cough and sneeze in public without people looking at me funny. I have a dream that we are able to come together as a country and demonstrate what true unity is, and to continue to be part of the larger global ecosystem to help be a leader in the world economy to end world suffering, war, and poverty. I think we can probably get started on some of that stuff right now. It would be nice if we all came together on it. While I'm not big on pushing religion or dogmatic beliefs or doctrine on anybody, the 7th UU principle, which is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, I find that to be something that it would be nice if people all realize that whether you believe it or not, we're all in it together. And I have a dream that we wake up and realize that we are all in this together. Thank you.
I'm not going to say any more because. So you start us off. We'll advance to the next piece that Jacqueline and I are doing. Okay, go ahead.
So we have a response today, and this piece is National Anthem, Arise, Arise, and it's written by I'll get it, just a minute, Jean Rohe, National Anthem, Arise, Arise. Okay, and we would appreciate your participation, so that's a good thing. Thank you. After each verse of the poem, Reverend Larry and I will be speaking the poem parts. Will you please join with the choir and sing the chorus? The words will be on the screen. Please stand as you are willing and able. Atlantic and Pacific flow, the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Mexico. The land between sustains us all. To cherish it, our tireless call.
We reached these shores from many lands. We came with hungry hearts and hands. Some came by force and some by will, at the auction block or the darkened mill. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To your perfect union we aspire, and lift our voices from the fire.
We died in your fields and your factories, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees, with an old coat hanger in a room somewhere, a trail of tears, an electric chair.
Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To your perfect union we aspire, and responsibility to be guardians of our liberty, till tyrants bow to the people's dream and justice flows like a mighty stream. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To our perfect union we aspire, and lift our voices from the fire.
Starting with a little reflection here. About 20 years ago, when my children were young, my family and its wellness got out of sorts due to an unexpected challenge. The good news is that by facing the struggle head on, some new possibilities opened up for me. And in fact, a dream was realized. While in the process of finding resources for my family, I became aware of a profession that had a greater alignment with me. Consequently, around age 40, I decided to make a career shift and headed back to school. Completing a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling was fulfilling. And this career shift gave greater space for my strengths and my values. Along the way, other areas of realignment became apparent. I began to look for a new spiritual home. In the search, I imagined a place of worship where I could be more myself. I looked for a spiritual community that would encourage my dreams of growing boldly into my next phase of life. This is important because, well, at all phases of life, we face challenges. And especially now, we're buffeted by life events and news, and we can feel unmoored from the principles that we hold dear. Fortunately, I found First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. What I remember so fondly about joining here was how I felt welcomed, accepted, and I was seen as a valued contributor. Week after week, year after year, this is a place where I feel acceptance, caring, and encouragement. Having such a place during difficult times is critical. Yes? With that in mind, let us continue to be a source of support for First U by investing our time, talent, and treasure so that the church can continue to build a resilient community that's ready to stand up for those underserved, to create a more peaceful and equitable world. This morning, as you are able, please consider an offering. We do depend on financial gifts to care for our building and grounds, to pay our staff who make possible our wonderful sermons, music, children's programs, and diverse, engaging activities. Your generous offering will allow us to continue our important work. On the screen, you will see the different ways you can donate. And in addition, the ushers will now pass the baskets here in the sanctuary. And thank you. And now, if you will please say, join me in dedicating our offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. That was gorgeous. Thank you, choir. If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to extinguish it as I read these words adapted by Ben Atherton Zeman. As we extinguish the flame on our chalice, we ignite it inside ourselves, our commitment to our mission, to our families, community, and world, and to one another. It's an unquenchable flame. Let us remember that we are not alone until we light this flame next time.
Thank you. Thank you, choir. Wonderful, wonderful music today. And Linda and Kathy. Thank you, Susan, for sharing your dream. And Gianni, wherever you are, thank you, and Jacqueline. So, Kim, tell them about your dream. James, tell them about your dream. Jackie, tell them about your dream. Paul, 2 Pauls, tell them about your dream. Let's say that again and again in the days and the weeks ahead, particularly when we feel a sense of despair that wants to take over. Hold our heart and say, tell me about your dream. Can we practice right now? Tell me about your dream. Try it one more time. Tell me about your dream. There you go. Nice. So these closing words, benediction, are from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Now let us begin. Now let us rededicate ourselves to the long and bitter but beautiful struggle for a new world. The choice is ours. And though we might prefer it otherwise, we must choose in this crucial moment of human history. So may it be, and let's join together in our closing hymn, We Shall Overcome. Stand as you are willing and able in body or in spirit. We'll sing our closing hymn, and if you feel like marching out to the coffee hour, since we're running a little late, please feel free to keep singing and marching. Okay.
We shall overcome.
Excuse me for just a second. I forgot to announce that the conversation with the board has been postponed until after the service on Sunday, February 2nd, because of the snow that was threatening today. Okay?
Thank you.